Hi friends, my name is Derek, and I know about typology. I thought I'd make a quick video about Jordan Peterson's type because of the following comment that I received and responded to recently. Hello host Eric, says Violet. Recently I thought Jordan Peterson might be an ISFJ because he was ranting about how people must be immature and deluded if they say they don't want children. He made a comment about how you don't know better than all of your ancestors on that subject, and I immediately thought of SIFE. I think this is revelatory about how people think about type and could think about it better, in that we shouldn't probably look to values that we associate as correlating expressly with these types in determining someone's type. For example, ISFJs do not necessarily want to have kids, like the idea of having kids, or actually ended up having kids. Got my ISFJ friend Dave, he's childless and perfectly happy doing that. Even my mom was hesitant to have a kid until she was in her mid-30s because they like to have their own experiences and stuff, right? They have as absolute values their own experience, doing stuff, fairness, and in the most unconscious sense, efficiency. You'll note that none of those values are as specific as have a lot of kids. But I wanted to read my reply to this because I thought it too was informative. If he were SIFE, he'd demonstrate SIFE instead of arguing in favor of wanting to have kids, which is a want that supposedly typifies SFJs. But the behavior of arguing in favor of kids isn't specific to any type. How they argue it, however, is. So I put here a good example of what it would sound like if he were an SFJ arguing in favor of having kids. Jordan Peterson would sound like this. So this one time, when I was a kid, and I was at my friend Joel's house, I saw Joel's mom, Susan, feed her son with such tenderness after Joel had fallen and hurt himself. And that's really something. And it was at that moment I knew how important it was to have kids. And if you could have an experience like I had, then you'd understand how important it is to have kids too. That's not the kind of argument he was making though, right? He was saying, we are genetically, biologically, evolutionarily driven, designed, and purposed to have kids. JP is driven by assorted agendas: evolutionary psychology, anti-postmodernism, or basically a modernist frame, etc. But he's just as much defined by his relentless need to mythologize, which is not an agenda but a modality, as evidenced in everything from slaying dragons to lobster mating metaphors to his rejecting of relativism categorically. All of this screams holistic knowledge at the expense of experiential knowledge. In other words, second thought NI, which means ENFJ or ENTJ. I still maintain my typing of him as ENTJ, and I hope this was informative about what sort of things we should look for to say that's indicative of type or not. It's not what they argue, it's how they argue.